walking alongside people through moments of illness, uncertainty, transition, and loss. He brings together two worlds that are often kept separate: clinical understanding and spiritual care. Logan has worked in highly regulated medical environments through the Association of Surgical Technologists and the American Association of Tissue Banks, while serving as a Reiki practitioner, spiritual and interfaith minister, and healer. In 2016, Logan spent time in Brazil at the Casa of John of God, an experience that marked a profound shift in his life. During that time, he received deep personal healing and awakened his abilities he still approaches with humility and respect. Logan has trained in advanced medical intuition, including extensive studies with Tina Zion, right? Zion, that's right. And continues to deepen this work in his practice. He is an advocate for Donate Life in New York State, supporting organ, eye, and tissue donation, and is a member of the Finger Lakes Donor Family Network. He is often called upon to help families navigate complex medical systems, translating information into something human and understandable during some of life's most difficult moments. Logan is an Army veteran who also works with Army veterans in suicide prevention support, offering presence, conversation, and care when it is needed the most. Logan is a member of the Church Living Spirit and continues to study and grow in his work and describes himself simply as a perpetual student. And Logan is a dear friend, fellow veteran. Our lives are pretty comparable in trying to navigate our quite different lives. And I can't wait to hear what he has to say this morning. Logan Sutt.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, before we talk, I want to tell you what the title of my talk this morning is. It's called The Mothering Walk. I'd like to take a moment to notice what comes to mind for you when you hear the word mother. You might remember a face, a smell, maybe a favorite food she made for you. Maybe you just miss her because she's transitioned. And for some, you may not want to remember her at all. For some of us, that word brings warmth and comfort. For others, you may still be working on what the word even means. But today is not about forcing a meaning. Today is about the influence of mothering in all forms. So good morning again, everyone. Good morning, all my Zoom mates that missed me. I'll see you next week. And happy Mother's Day. Thank you for coming, Charlie. Roy, I'm sorry, Roy. There we go. Number one, Charlie's here too. He's here before us, I guess.
No coincidence.
Yeah, there you go. There are many Sunday mornings when our speaker starts off with an acknowledgement about Nancy. I'd like to take the opportunity this morning. Many people who stand here find their own way to recognize what Nancy has meant to them in our church. I've watched Nancy give a great deal of her time, heart, and dedication to our community. The first time I ever heard Nancy speak about something that deeply mattered to her, it was filtered, it was real, and very detailed. And the substance of her words affected me. So much so that 5 minutes after that service, I emailed her and said, I have something to speak about. Can I speak? That would be the first time I would be speaking on a Sunday morning. So in Nancy's style, at least to me, Logan, what do you want to talk about, Logan? So we decided a topic, and she always gives me 3 things. 20 minutes, no questions, speak English. And you all know, no medical terminology when it comes to the two of us. She didn't give me anything I didn't deserve, but she gave me an opportunity. And she created a space where my authenticity lives in my voice. She tells you the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. She expects you to do the work and lets you live your own life's lesson. That is not harshness to me. That is formation and accountability. And when someone believes in you, something powerful happens. You begin to understand that your life has the ability to help another human being. That's what Nancy does. She sees something in you and holds you to it. And to me, that's mothering. Long before Nancy, there was Beulah. And that was my grandmother Beulah. She raised my brother and I. She was 50 years old, raising a 2.5-year-old and a 9-month-old. With Beulah, it was her way or the highway. She was a God-fearing woman, let me tell you, and she made sure that we were God-fearing too. If I'm being honest, we were more afraid of Beulah than we were of God. The Bible just was not a book in our house. It was Beulah's roadmap. If you wanted to know how to live, the answers were in there somewhere, and she didn't question it. I absolutely did not fit into that whatsoever. I can stand here and tell you that I was Beulah's worst nightmare. The more I didn't understand something, the more I asked why, and questions were not always welcome with Beulah. Why does God do this, Grandmom? What is the difference between God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost? What is the Holy Ghost? How could the Holy Ghost be a ghost when we were told that we don't believe in ghosts? Some of those seeds I was never going to accept. I would have taken my chances, and you heard me before say, I would have taken my chances going to hell with an A++. But her answer was really simple. We don't question God, and that was the end of it. When you're 4 or 5 years old and you're learning about one being taken and one being left in a field, that's not a story, that's fear. For a little kid, that was real. That fear was really real. And for me, my grandparents were the only ones were raising me. So when I heard that, I wasn't just listening. I was thinking I could lose them too. In the middle of that, there were real people. Beulah and I spent many Sunday afternoons visiting the sick, bringing food, sitting with people who are dying, and so many afternoons listening to that person saying, I hope I'm good enough to make it to heaven. That part of helping my fellow human beings still lives in me today. Now, Beulah, she believed in presentation. On Sunday morning, she dressed us up like runway models. Hair perfect, clothes perfect, shoes shined. My brother hated it and complained about everything. What little boy wants to get their hair combed with a grandmother's brush with VO5 slipped through it? The more he complained, the more I did not help the situation. And then we get in the car. And we had some of our best family fights on the way to church. I remember thinking, aren't we going to church to learn how to go to heaven? Because this feels like a ride straight to hell. In church, we were expected to be perfect. And if we weren't, Beulah didn't have to say a word. One look and you knew. That look, that's universal. That's that mother's look. Beulah had a hard way of showing her love. And whether you mean it or not, you carry pieces of that. I know I do. And those pieces I call interrupted pieces of love. And even though we didn't understand each other, something in me still carried forward what she taught me. She taught me how to show up. She taught me what it looks like to live life with conviction. And somewhere in all of that, I had to figure things out for myself. And that's what led me here, right here, right here to the God of my own understanding. Later in life, another mothering presence entered. Not a presence, a force. Her name was Shirley. She's not my biological mother. She is my landlord. But relationships sometimes earn their titles. And somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like a tenant. I felt like one of her children, and she loves me like one too. When I first moved there, I had gone through a lot of change. And if I'm being honest, I was shut down and really broken. And many days when she knocked on the door, I was annoyed. But she'd always say, "Logan Mary, come out inside and sit with me while I weed." She never forced me. She just kept showing up. One day she was outside and she said, "Logan Mary, good morning. It's Mother. I'm coming in to water my Logan Berry plant." And looking back, that's exactly what she was doing. She was watering me. Now she's a pistol, persistent in a way I've never seen. And that kind of presence can change your life. It definitely changed mine. One of the biggest things she ever taught me was, "You're going to make mistakes, Logan." She didn't just say it, she lived it. And that gave me permission to be a human. One day she sent me home with a ham. She said, "Logan Berry, do not cut that ham while it's frozen. Cut it up and bag it so you have some when you need it." Of course, where'd the ham go? Right in the freezer, the whole entire thing. Milliseconds before that knife went into my wrist, I thought, don't do this. Too late. Here I was, the next thing I know, I'm in the emergency room with a dish towel wrapped around my hand. And the whole time I could hear her voice. Not pleasant. "Logan, what did I tell you about cutting that frozen ham?" Mothers somehow know what's going to happen before it happens. And I still don't understand that. I mean, how does that happen? But what I do know is she refused to let me disappear. What still stays with me about Diane is the first time I ever heard her voice. I had been in a telephone circle practicing mediumship. I didn't even know back then what mediumship was. I just thought it was cool and it was interesting. One night this woman joined and her name was Diane. As soon as I heard her voice, I said, "Excuse me, can I say something?" And I said, "Hi, Diane, this is Logan, and we've been in a past life together." And the circle just continued. Time passed, I don't even know how long. I moved into my new place. I was there like 2 weeks. I'm sitting there, Shirley calls. "Logan Berry, somebody's moving in next door, then they say they know you." I'm like, "No, they don't. I don't know anyone." I said, "That's impossible." She said, "No, they say they know you." And of course I said, "What's their names?" Diane Shenandoah and her daughter, Michelle Shenandoah. And I remember sitting there and thinking, what is going on? There's no way I move here and someone I felt that kind of connection to on a phone is now going to be living on the other side of the wall? I really couldn't make that up. The first time I saw her, Shirley and I were sitting outside, and Diane comes around the corner. I didn't know what to feel. What do you say? What do you feel when something in you recognizes a person before you understand why? But I knew that voice. I knew a rhythm. It wasn't in my head. It was in my nervous system. Like something in me already knew her. The only way that I can best describe my feeling was there was a shimmering gold thread from her light to mine. Life went on. We talked. We got to know each other. And living next door, I got to know Michelle too. And being around them There's a different way of sharing. I remember Michelle saying to me, Logan, one spoon, one bowl. We share, we eat together, there's no separation there. And with Diane, the conversations were different. I felt comfortable asking questions. I learned. I started being included in family functions, socials that included drumming, singing, dancing, celebrating birthdays, and celebrating just being here. And somewhere along the way, I watched Diane's mothering. And in the Haudenosaunee way of things, everything begins with what's called the Thanksgiving address. Words spoken before anything else. For the people, now our minds are one. For the water, now our minds are one. For the earth, now our minds are one. And something about that brings you into it. Diane is a faith keeper of the United Nation. These teachings are passed down orally through the mothers. That's the mother's responsibility. Diane talks about having a good mind. And once you know what that is, you know when you don't have it. And Diane doesn't let you stay there. She brings me back again and again till I remember. When I get in this head, she asks me simple questions. She never meets me there. Logan, when's the last time you walked on the grass barefoot? Logan, when's the last time you touched a tree? Most of the time, I want answers. I want understanding. But what she's doing is bringing me back to my body, back to earth, back to something real. We've lived conversations, coffee, and lived through some great loss in our time. One night, I was watching Section 60, a part of Arlington National Cemetery where our Iraq and Afghanistan's soldiers are laid to rest. There were parents, families, children standing by those graves. And it hit me. I'm not someone who cries easily. Matter of fact, it makes me uncomfortable to even cry by myself. She called and asked if she could come over. I said, can you give me 15 minutes? Because I needed to get myself together. But when she got there, she already knew. And I said to her, Diane, I need to understand something, really, really, really understand something. Can you help me understand what it means to be a mother? Can you tell me what it feels like? Can you just please help me understand? And she did. She held my hand and walked me through a lot of things, and she's still doing it. And Michelle still walks me through, holding my hand too. There was a moment when I graduated from a ministerial program, and they both came. They drove 3 hours just to give me this.